gentlemen, in this video we're going to find out if double the power can beat 50% weight in F1 25. If you haven't already seen the double downforce versus double horsepower video, I recommend you go watch that one. But anyways, we're going to divide the grid up into two teams, one being 50% weight and the other being double the horsepower. For the first race, we're going to be joining team weight reduction around Belgium, so let's get this video started. Here we are then in Belgium, driving as Hulkenberg from the back of the grid with 50% weight reduction. Let's see if we can continue his good form and maybe get a podium by the end of this race. Majority of the double horsepower cars are located at the front of the grid, except for the Alpines, which are just in front of us, but it's 5 red lights, and away we go for the Belgium GP. Behrman getting a better launch than us as we almost run into the back of him, and we make quick work of the Alpines heading into turn 1. Sainz looking to squeeze through there, making it very tight on the inside there, and we work our way up to P17 as well, getting a good exit coming out of La Source. And that is all down to having so much weight taken out of the car that we instantly get way better traction, better braking and cornering in this car now. But the advantage of the double horsepower will now start to shine going down the Camel Straight. Piastri looking for a way through, and he blasts past with the extra power he has. We're able to brake way later, but so can everybody else, and it's a massive melee going on now as we try to look to make the move on Alonso, but it's actually Ocon looking to attack us, and now we have the opportunity to dive down the inside of Alonso. We're getting kind of blocked or boxed in by Lawson here, and that allows Alonso to take the position right back, and we get a little bit out of shape there, and that leaves us vulnerable to Ocon yet again. We're all just parked behind Piastri, but it seems like the weight reduction team is not working together as we're all knives out at the moment on lap 1. I guess nobody's going to wait around to make up some positions early on in this race. So the current situation looks like the grid is kind of dividing into two as we managed to get around the outside of Alonso and Lawson, so 2 for the price of 1 as Piastri struggling to go through those corners. And now, speaking of Piastri, he just blasts past everyone again, and look at him go. He's going to have a massive gap on us as we head into the bus stop chicane. He's already several car lengths. I can barely see him. We'll have to bust out the telescope to try and spot where he is. But anyways, we make up a little bit of ground through the bus stop chicane, but we just keep slowing each other down by fighting each other. Hamilton setting the fastest lap of the race with the double horsepower he has access to. He's had a big turnaround of performance since Friday, that's for sure. Not the first time he's locked the rear axle like that either. Anyways, DRS is enabled. Let's see if this gives us a bit more of an advantage to try and keep up with these horsepower cars that feel like they're injected with steroids, as Piastri is just leaving us in the distance again. But we should be able to make up all our ground in Sector 2. As we found out in qualifying session between the Red Bulls and the McLarens, the Red Bulls were just making up all their ground in Sector 1 and 3, whereas the McLarens were just rapid in Sector 2. As we showcased that going up the inside of Piastri, managed to close such a distance there. We managed to drop in faster than Red Bull dropped Christian Horner, as we have Stroll up next. Can never be too careful when trying to attack Stroll here. Looking up the inside, but definitely not the right move to go up the inside of Pouillon. We'll hold off and live to fight another day, but it seems to be a bit of a traffic jam here with all the other weight reduction cars, as we have the exact same advantages and disadvantages. It makes it pretty tough to overtake here as we eventually have the inside line against Stroll, and I think this should allow us to get up into P10, finally into the points. Albon and Hadjar going head to head here. Norris has just decided he's going to take off, so absolutely no opportunity to overtake him. Going into the bus stop chicane, he'll have such a gap. Turning around his fortune after being dunked on by 6/10 from Piastri in the sprint qualifying. But looks like we've got Russell, Leclerc and Norris up ahead. These are all cars that have double horsepower. We get such a better exit, but as soon as it comes time to use that top speed, Norris manages to pull back away, and then it actually makes it a bit of a difficult move to make into turn 1. We get a way better exit due to the weight reduction, but that can only take us so far, and now Norris is going to attack us back, especially as we head onto the straight. He's going to have DRS on us, so the only weakness of that car is pretty much taken away, as they have the drag reduction and they can just blast past and use the full potential of that horsepower. But we're going to go and close that gap straight away, heading through Sector 2 now, and we make quick work, and we looking around the outside of Russell. It feels like it's sped up, but I swear it's not, as we go flying around the outside of Leclerc as well. We're making a lot of progress on this lap in particular. Antonelli up next, but he's going to start to pull away as we reach a higher speed as we head through Pouillon. As we go through the corner, we gain a few meters on him, but Of course, it's just going to ebb and flow constantly through this circuit where there's high speed and low speed segments as we go all the way around the outside of Antonelli, and Tsunoda gets done as well. Verstappen and Hamilton, the only 2 cars remaining in front of us, and we managed to get past Verstappen as well, but as soon as the traction zone ends, Verstappen will just pull away, and there's nothing we can do. Make that Tsunoda as well, because we cannot defend on a straight line, and Antonelli might actually get us here before we get to the chicane as well. These guys might actually be pretty difficult to deal with. Our patience might run thinner than Verstappen's rear wing at Silverstone. But look at that, coming out of the corner, we managed to make easy work of Tsunoda and Verstappen. And then Verstappen slingshots right back past us. And we're going to try and hold it all the way around the outside. We'll have a better exit, of course. Hamilton is just a bit too far ahead, I think, to even make an impact on. But I think those Red Bulls will get straight back past us. Heading onto that straight. I just hope we can get the DRS on Hamilton to... Oh my god, Verstappen was all over the back of us there. And yeah, both the Red Bulls and Antonelli has gotten back past us. So it feels like 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And we need to find a gap here to try and make quick work while we still can and have the advantage in Sector 2. So yeah, this race isn't as clear-cut as I thought it would be in terms of having the advantage. But I do think that the weight reduction cars are the faster cars around this circuit in particular. There is definitely enough corners to make it work and have the advantage overall, I think, as we close up onto the back of Tsunoda, and we should be able to finish the job as we enter this next sequence of corners. We seem to be a lot stronger, and look at that, easily around the outside of Tsunoda and closing the gap to Hamilton here. Can we go around the outside of Hamilton? Yes, and that's an easy overtake into P1. The question is now, can we hold on to P1 as we only have this lap, which is only a straight, plus next lap to go. Hamilton's going to get us back here. It actually seems he hesitated a bit there, so it might cost him a bit of time because this is the part of the track where he should be well in front of us. And we head through the bus stop chicane. We're going to have the advantage here, get a better exit, do the crisscross, and we pick up the DRS exiting the corner to put the cherry on top there. Last lap now. Can we hold on to this position because we know he's going to come back at us as we head into the Camel Straight. We've got a 1.3 second, 1.4 second gap actually to him. So watch this delta close down. Is he going to be able to pull a big enough gap when he does pass us to be able to hold on to P1? That might be asking quite a lot. He does get past us eventually, and he does pull a bit of a gap, but we're able to brake so much later and go around the outside, which turns to the inside for the next corner, and we just have so much of an advantage through Sector 2 and no more traffic to hold us up, so we can really use the full potential of this car. And now it just feels like it's sped up as we go flying through the Jackie X corner, and we've already put 3 seconds on Hamilton. We'll keep an eye on that delta as we come to the end of this race, but I'm quite curious to see where the next weight reduction car places. This is on 110 AI as well, so they have maximum aggression as we go flying through these corners. This looks fast forwarded. This actually looks at 2 times speed, but it's not. We dip a tire onto the gravel just like Kimi Antonelli and Ollie Behrman did. Gap to Hamilton has increased to over 7 seconds now as we set a purple sector for Sector 2. Of course, that's going to be without the traffic, but we're going to bring it home in P1, and it wasn't as clear cut for the AI as to which car was better, but definitely for us, we managed to make it work from the back of the grid. Hulkenberg gets driver of the day, and in terms of the results, it looks like the AI had a much harder time getting past the double horsepower cars. Alex Albon being the highest placed weight reduction car ahead of Lance Stroll in P8 and P9. So without our result, double horsepower would have won this race. But because weight reduction has won, we're going to be racing at Monza, the Temple of Speed, where horsepower should have the advantage. And also for this race, we're going to be joining Team Horsepower this time. Alright, then starting near the back here in Monza, we've got a lot of work to do. The cars around us should actually get the jump on us because they've got the weight reduction, and look at that, they get much better start than us. We're getting destroyed by Team Weight Reduction just like Silverstone destroyed the rookies. But anyways, we managed to make up for it heading down into turn 1 on having to be very careful on the brakes because everyone around us can brake way quicker than we can, so I don't want to rear end anyone as we navigate through the field. That's going to allow us to get up to P16, and we're going to have to play this one really smart. You can see Behrman gapped us coming out of the corner, but the speed down the straights just more than makes up for it, and there's plenty of straights here in Monza as we brake pretty early, making sure we don't make contact with the likes of Sainz and this is where they're going to be all over us through the two Lesmos in particular, because they have such an advantage. Behrman goes all the way around the outside and makes us look silly, and he almost made that work. If it weren't for maybe Verstappen closing off that opportunity, because he would have been boxed in, he probably could have done that. But Verstappen is like us, he's got the double horsepower, and he locks up and makes a mistake going into the Ascari chicane, and that allows us to get up into P14 as we track extend and get our first track limits warning. And Verstappen's looking to make the move back on us as he has the slipstream. DRS not available quite yet, but on the next lap we should get that as another advantage in our pocket as we look to overtake more cars heading on to lap 2 now. We've got Sainz and Albon, the two Williams up ahead. They look like they're fighting each other as we're able to close up using the top speed that we have. They brake way later than us, so it's a bit awkward to try and make a move into turn 1. But it does look like they're getting held up by Tsunoda as they'll have a massive advantage coming out of the first chicane, and look at that. They almost make the move on him, but then Tsunoda has the advantage where the hunters become the hunted, because Hadjar and Alonso will be the next ones on Tsunoda's radar as we head through the second chicane. And this is where Sainz and Albon, the two Williams, will be looking to try and make a move on me, in particular through the Lesmos. They're very quick through there. I think one of them was looking around the outside of us, but I'm being held up by Tsunoda as well. So that makes me think Tsunoda might be running a bit lower downforce than ourselves, because he does seem to have that top speed. Even though we have the DRS, he seems to be keeping right up with us as he brakes early, and that just pretty much tells me he's running lower downforce. And we have a moment going through a Ascari chicane. Luckily, we don't bin it there, because that could have been catastrophic with the extra power we've got. And then speaking of extra power, we've also had to solve a fuel consumption issue. If you didn't watch the previous video between the double power and double downforce, the extra power was chewing up so much fuel, so I had to change the way that the fuel is combusted by the engine to make it more efficient so that it burns less fuel. So that won't be an issue for this race, otherwise we'd never make it to the end. And if you would like to try out this mod for yourself, it'll be available to YouTube channel members, so be sure to become a channel member if this is something you'd like to try out. Alonso battling with Hadjar allowed us to gain a lot of ground, and now we've passed Alonso going around the outside, and we're getting very close to Hadjar, but I think he's just a little bit too far ahead, and this is definitely not the place to do it for us. In fact, we're going to be under attack by Alonso here, and he's going to have the inside line as well, so we're not going to try and fight it. We know that he's incredibly fast, as we almost lose the rear end, probably from the dirty air getting washed over the car as soon as he went in front of us, as we still managed to pick up DRS. Also, if you've noticed an improvement to the graphics and the editing on this channel recently, that is because I've invested the money from your support into buying a new graphics card and updating my editing software. So just wanted to say I appreciate the support once again, and I'll continue to use any funds I get from this channel to make better videos. Anyways, we're back attacking Alonso again, heading into Parabolica. He's looking to make a move on Hadjar, and both of them are catching onto the back of Norris as we have a massive tank slapper going through Parabolica as our tires are starting to wear, especially on the rears. That's going to become an issue towards the end of this race, as we're already on 26% wear on our left rear. So the longer this race goes on, probably the cars with the weight reduction will have the advantage, and Alonso and Hadjar still battling it out, holding each other up. That's going to help us out, but Albon just doesn't care and manages to fly past us. I was not expecting that. We managed to make the move back, and speaking of making moves, we're able to get past Hadjar and Alonso, making it 3 overtakes in one straight. We're going to be vulnerable coming out of this chicane though, because this is where they're really strong going into Lesmo 1. Hadjar gets the place back. Alonso might be able to get us into Lesmo 2, but as long as we stick to the racing line, as we have a massive moment reaching 33% tire wear on the left rear now. DRS is going to bail us out a little bit here to gain back onto Hadjar. But yeah, I'm starting to really have conflicted feelings on which car is actually faster around this circuit. I'm starting to feel like maybe the weight reduction cars might have the advantage, because we're starting to really halt on our progress. Hadjar though, and Alonso, the cars around us, are still making headway on the likes of Norris, who has the extra horsepower. Lance Stroll sets the fastest lap of the race. In fact, Lance Stroll is leading this race, and he's the one with the weight reduction. So the weight reduction team has made it to the front of the pack, and they currently lead this race, and they only have one more lap to hold on before they can claim victory. And if they do, that'll be 2 from 2, and I don't think there's another track where Team Horsepower will have a track more suited to them than Monza. So if they beat them at Monza, that is pretty much game over for Team Horsepower altogether, as Hadjar looking to make a move on Norris. He's going to have a great opportunity going through Sector 2. But yeah, I really thought that team weight reduction would be stronger through Spa than they would be through Monza, but it seems they've already made their way to the front of the pack, and Lance Stroll has left everyone behind. I say that as we get left behind by Albon and Alonso as well. There was a piece of front wing end plate that came off there. I'm not sure who it came from, but it looks like both Alonso and Albon are all over the back of Norris, and they might get him through a Sky chicane here if Norris doesn't defend this correctly. We might actually have one more opportunity to get past Alonso and Albon here, using our top speed to try and make a move around the outside before we head into Parabolic, and taking a tighter line to make sure they don't dive bomb us, as they have way better pace going through here. And our rear tires are falling off as they're going side by side looking for a way past, but we managed to hold on, and we had pretty much half-worn tires at the end there on the rears. We're bringing home in 10th place to have 1 point after all that. That was a pretty brutal race. Lance Stroll gets driver of the day, things you'll never see. Team weight reduction has convincingly won this race, unlike in Spa where we were the only one that really got a decent result. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in a brand new one.